You work on people's estates and that kind of stuff, and you get to know, I'm sure, multi-generations of families at this point. When you look at some families, who have been, or what are some of the types of people that have been the happiest in life? Well, you know, when you look back, because you're just dealing with shit a lot of times as a lawyer, but you must come across some families where you're like, damn, this family's pretty good. They got it together. And maybe it's rare. I don't know. Maybe it's not rare. Maybe it is rare. But like what the people that you then judge and you say, oh my gosh, just to yourself internally, like, wow, that's really a great family. What is it that they've done that you see from your vantage point?
It's the ones that are happy for their parents. The ones where the kids are actually thankful for what their parents have done, and they actually want their parents to enjoy their life and spend their money. There's nothing worse than the 2 kids or 3 kids. They're worried.
So you've seen this. You've seen both sides. This is coming from experience.
I had a phone call a month ago. A gentleman called me and said, I want to challenge my parents' will.
No.
I said, oh my God. I said, it's difficult. I said, when did your dad die? Well, he hasn't died yet. Well, okay. Shit. We have to at least wait till he dies before we challenge the will. But I mean, there's people sitting on the edges of their seats waiting for that inheritance. And the ones that I sit there are the ones where the children are also successful. Mm-hmm. And they're happy for their parents to enjoy their life. If it means travel, if it means, living in a retirement home that's, top notch and it's costing $15,000 or $20,000 a month, who cares? Parents work for that. And those are the ones that I look at and go, you know what? I hope my kids are the same way with me. So, I mean, it's important that the kids are successful, because if the son or the daughter are deadbeats, right? They're waiting for that inheritance.
I know.
In thinking that their life is going to improve.
How do you make sure, how do these people make sure their kids are quote unquote successful? And then how do you even define that? I guess for now we're defining it as financial
success. Exactly.
But yeah, such a kind of like this nebulous thing. How do you capture it?
It's difficult. It's very difficult. And there's no right formula for it.
No.
I mean, we've all got kids, and we've all sort of, hey, we want our kids to succeed. And sometimes they do things and you go, oh, is that the right thing? But, you try and kind of steer them in the right direction. And you hope that they pick up on it and they proceed accordingly. But at the end of the day, the happy family for me are the ones that, you know what, my parents' money, let them enjoy it. And if at the end of the day their last check bounces, everything's good. Mm-hmm. Everything's good. It means they lived a good life, and I don't need their $10, $20, $30 when they pass away. I've done okay for myself. My parents have guided me. I'm seeing a lot of parents, which is great now, helping their kids with purchases of properties.
Sure. Yeah.
The bank of mom and dad, which is fantastic. And I have lots of parents come in, oh, no, I don't want any security. I always recommend in those situations, let's get a mortgage put on the house just as protection.
So if the parents are giving the kids some money for a house, you're still registering a mortgage on there? And the safety in that is if they sell the house, they'll at least have the ability to claim some of that back?
Claim that back if the person gets married and they don't do a marriage contract with their spouse.
Got it.
There is some protection for the parents' property. If the child dies and him and his wife own the property as joint tenants. Now, by doing that, at the end of the day, and this is what I tell all my clients, you can still forgive that indebtedness.
Sure, but you have the choice now.
It's your call.
Yeah. Instead of just giving the money, they get into a situation that maybe isn't good for themselves and they don't even see it yet. And nobody sees it. But a few years later, that money can be just magically gone.
Correct.
In this case, with something registered against the title of the property,
that has to be paid back. So under the Family Law Act, if you get married and your spouse moves into that property with you, that becomes a matrimonial home. And that property, irrespective of whose name that house is in, whether it's in your name or whether it's in your spouse's name, becomes a matrimonial home. And eventually your spouse gets to own half that house. But if I have a mortgage registered for 200, even if my son and his wife split, well, that $200,000 is coming back to me if I want. Now,
and then you can waive it if you choose.
And hey, they're married for 20 years.
Yeah.
They got 3 kids. Everything's
you
fantastic.
want to waive it.
You can say, hey, guys, my gift, you guys keep it. Or, your son passes away and his wife survives. You can always say, I'm good. Because
what happens if the parent passes away with an outstanding registered mortgage on the property? There's a clause in there.
Well, what we do is we deal with that typically in the will.
Yeah, okay.
In the will,
we'll call it out.
We'll call it, I want the debt repaid, or, on my death, if my son is still alive, I forgive the debt.
The debt would be repaid to the estate, and then the executor would have some instructions, hopefully also in the will, on how to distribute anything.
Absolutely. But lots of times, if in that situation, the parents will say, well, no, on our death, we want that mortgage forgiven, and that debt is forgiven. Now, lots of times, I'm noticing parents have a couple children, right? Then they're helping everybody. They're not just helping one. I just had one recently where actually the parents owned their own home and they owned 3 other properties. And in their will, we tried to figure out a way to give the 3 homes to each of their children.
Got it.
And then calculate how we would equalize it, because the homes weren't all of the same value. One was worth $1 million, one was worth 500.
That can change too.
Yeah. So we put provisions in there where we get appraisals done and equalize it with some cash in the family. So the daughter that got the home that's worth 500 is going to get a little bit more cash from the estate. And that's always got to be. You always have to be mindful that there's going to be cash at the time of their death, right?
Because and at that time, depending on how the estate's structured, those properties, when they change ownership, at that moment, there's capital gains taxes to be paid, correct?
Absolutely.
And so if the estate doesn't have something else, because I've always told people, hey, you might have to sell off some properties to pay for the tax on the handing over of your properties to some of the next generation, or you have a life insurance policy or something that kicks in that frees up some cash that handles the taxes when your estate is kind of winding up.
Correct. I typically recommend insurance.